There's two types of businesses, right? There's the businesses that know what they should be doing and the businesses that just don't know. And so we're here to help all of them. And if you don't know, there's regulations that you fall under, usually if you have client data, right? If you have names, birthdays, socials, credit card information, medical information. A lot of law firms get medical information emailed to them from clients, so that triggers HIPAA. So these businesses don't realize they actually have to follow these guidelines. So yeah, we help all of them.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Future Foundations podcast. I'm your host, Rob Wiltsey, and I'm so excited today to be talking with Jayson Lopez of JayTec Solutions. They are a managed service provider. We're going to talk all about cybersecurity today. Cybersecurity is one of those things that people don't always think about. It never seems like the right day to prioritize your cybersecurity, especially if you're like an up-and-coming business, and it's so important, and we're going to talk about why. But Jayson, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, thanks for having me.
And so why don't you start by just telling us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you got into IT and cybersecurity?
Sure, yeah. So I started out in 1997 out of high school. I joined the U.S. Army. And from there, I really learned how to troubleshoot. I was a microwave systems operator maintainer, fancy term for troubleshooting networks. I don't know. So I was in an air conditioning facility. It was nice. And from there, after I got out of the Army, I spent 5 years doing that. I then went into a number of different IT companies doing just regular IT services. Yeah, and after that, I saw a need for just IT in general. I was helping people on the side and like for free, right? Not charging anything. And one day I was like, you know what? I can actually charge to make money off of this. So yeah, that started my career in 2009 when I started JayTec Solutions all by myself. And then I noticed like after pandemic, pre-pandemic, threats were out there and they were on the rise, but it seemed like post-pandemic, that's when things really started hitting home. I noticed it was like I knew somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody that had ransomware, to like, oh, I know somebody that has ransomware, to like it's starting to close in around me. So then 2023 is when we became a cybersecurity first IT company and started focusing solely on protecting a business first while doing IT services.
Yeah, and so in your experience, how do companies think about their cybersecurity? Are there a lot of companies out there that it's kind of like an afterthought? They kind of wait for something to go really wrong before they make it a priority, or like what do you kind of see out there?
Yeah, so I feel like there's two types of businesses, right? There's the businesses that know what they should be doing and the businesses that just don't know. And so we're here to help all of them. And if you don't know, there's regulations that you fall under, usually if you have client data, right? If you have names, birthdays, socials, credit card information, medical information. A lot of law firms get medical information emailed to them from clients, so that triggers HIPAA. So these businesses don't realize they actually have to follow these guidelines. So yeah, we help all of them.
Yeah, so like you're saying, there's businesses that receive this really sensitive information. If it's medical information, then you have to comply with HIPAA. And what happens to these businesses if they are in violation or they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing with this data?
Yeah, so the main thing, so let's just walk through like a little mock drill, right? So if they're not in compliance, right, the very first thing, they have insurance implications, legal fees, regulatory implications, and they don't know until something happens. It's like I don't know, like driving without a seatbelt and airbag and ABS brakes in your car, and get into a car accident. Some people know now you need to have these things in place, but owning a business, when you're starting a business and you're new, you don't realize like these are mandatory things that I need to have in place. So with that being said, so everything's fine when it's fine, right? So once you get hit, that's when the cookies crumble. That's when your cybersecurity insurance looks into you, the regulators look into you, and if the breach is bad enough, actually not even bad enough, right? If you're breached, you can get sued by your clients, right? Or you lose reputation with your clients. I actually had, before I transitioned to full cyber, I had a legacy client that I pitched cybersecurity to, and he's like, that's way too expensive. There's no way, we can't do it. I can't believe this. And I'm like, okay, well, look, I'm just telling you my obligation as your IT service provider. I just want to let you know the risk, right? There's IT and there's cybersecurity. We were doing IT for you. Now we're doing IT and cybersecurity. So he took on that risk. About 6 months later, they were hit with a ransomware attack. And within, geez, so my cleanup was the easy part. Right, when I came in, I was like, it's going to get really bad for you after the systems come up and you're back up and running again. Then you have the legal implications, the regulatory implications, the AG reporting. So in California, we have the California Consumer Protection Act, I believe is what it's called. You have to report these things to the Attorney General's office if there's more than like 500 Californians records. And it's not just people in California. If you're a business in New York or Miami or somewhere, and you have people in California that you service, same thing applies to you. So now you're under these regulations. But anyways, okay, so back to my client. He got hit, and within, the first few months, it was well over $100,000 in fees that he had to come out of pocket with. And they didn't have cybersecurity insurance. They thought they had it. They thought they renewed it. Something happened in the fold. I'm not a cybersecurity insurance provider. I don't do cybersecurity insurance. I highly recommend you look into that. Once you get cybersecurity insurance, it's basically like an audit that they're going to send to you, and you're going to have to fill out these forms to go through them to attest that you're doing certain things. And if you check a box and you say you're doing something that you're not doing, that leaves you open to not having that breach paid for in an incident. Because after your breach, these insurance providers, they're going to come in and they're going to want to know the attack vector. How do these people get in? If you have an old Windows 10 computer laying around and that was the attack vector, or potentially could have been, now you're on the hook for that and the insurance is not going to cover you.
Gosh, so it's just you're in a world of hurt if there is a breach and that data is compromised. And in your experience, are there tons of businesses out there just sitting with those vulnerabilities and they don't even realize it?
Tons. Yeah. A few years ago, I had a referral from one of my phone vendors, and he's like, hey, I have this urgent care. The phone system's down. Can you go check it out? Yeah, sure, no problem. First time ever on site. So I go in there. They had Windows 7 computers. This was just like a couple of years ago. And so I go in, fix the phone system, and I'm like, hey, who's the owner? And the lady's like, oh, it's me. I'm the owner, whatever. I'm like, okay, so side note, who's your IT person? Because you guys have Windows 7 computers. You're dealing with HIPAA information. People are coming in the urgent care. I mean, like, for me, when I go to urgent care, I would think that they're top of the line security. And it was horrible. And the reality is most businesses aren't doing this stuff. But in 2026, there actually are requirements now for businesses to have reasonable security, and that's outlined now by the state of California and other regulations that point to certain not tools. I'm going to say certain things you have to have in place to protect your systems. It's not a broad term anymore. It's outlined. So if you don't have multi-factor authentication, you're not providing cybersecurity awareness training for your employees, you're not doing the bare minimum. So it leaves you open to an attack.
Wow. And you mentioned Windows 10. So what are the guidelines around using Windows 10 now with regard to cybersecurity?
Yeah, you shouldn't be anymore. So if you're a business and you're using Windows 10, immediately seek help to get off Windows 10. Yeah, it's unsecure. Microsoft has end of life dates. Almost or all software manufacturers will have end of life dates for software. Windows 10 entered its end of life in October of last year. So if you have not paid for their 1 year of like extended service, then your computers are vulnerable. And what that means vulnerable is that there's no patches for it. So Microsoft it's not going to put out any patches if there's a hack, a breach, something that's going on with Windows 10. Microsoft says, hey, we're not doing that any longer. So you're open for an attack.
Yeah, so it just means that you don't have that ongoing protection and patching that comes with an active operating system. So Windows
Oh,
11
absolutely. Yeah.
and Windows 11 is like, does that even cost anything to upgrade? I think that's like free, right?
Yeah, for the most part. Actually, no, it's not free any longer. There was a grace period where Windows 11 was free. Um, yeah, but it's not any longer. And Windows 11 is more of a modern operating system that has uh, security built in that Windows 10 didn't. So, like, if you don't, you have to kind of go to Windows 11 now.
Yeah. So like what are the top just easiest things that businesses should be doing if they're listening to this and they're feeling like, gosh, Jason's right, my cybersecurity is not up to par. What are just some like easy, just 80/20 stuff they should be looking at?
Yeah, so first and foremost, don't push your cybersecurity off to your IT provider. Make sure you have someone that's handling your cybersecurity, right? Some businesses we provide just cybersecurity services for, right? They have IT, we just do cybersecurity for them. So you want to make sure that it's handled properly. But there's really no one like here's the one thing you need to have to make sure you're secure, right? Like here's multi-factor authentication, here's backups, here's some other tools. There's all these fancy terms, EDR, MXDR. It's like the more modern antivirus nowadays. It works with AI to um, uh, detect user inputs that would be unusual. So it's really a layered approach. So and ongoing, right? So because I've had businesses call me and say, "Hey, Jason, we don't want to pay monthly. Just come in, secure us, and that's it." And I'm like, I can definitely do that, but it's not continual, right? So like vulnerability scanning, right? So for our clients, we continually monitor the patches and vulnerabilities on their systems, on their networks. So if there is a Windows patch, a server patch, a switch, firewall patch that didn't get applied properly, how do you know it didn't get applied properly, right? So vulnerability scanning is a tool that will allow you to just know what's not being applied. So I mean, there's a laundry list of check boxes. There's the National Institute of Security Standards, NIST. That's a framework that we follow. It's a cybersecurity standard framework that all businesses should follow. It basically aligns with all of the other regulations now that you need to follow. So there's really not one specific. It's more of a layered approach, which I mean, it's unfortunate, right? Like I would love to come on here and be like, hey, go, get a SOC, a security operations center to watch all of everything, right? But that's just one piece of the puzzle.
Definitely. And you mentioned AI, like how has AI changed the equation for cybersecurity, both in terms of being able to like prevent it, but also like, are there even like new vulnerabilities because of AI and hacking and that whole thing?
Yeah, so on our side, right, AI helps with like endpoint protection, right? Like EDR, MXDR. It can know where, hey, Rob just logged in from his home. 2 minutes later, you logged in from Ukraine. Like, hey, that's
Yeah.
impossible travel. That can't happen. There's other, it's 2 a.m. and you're downloading 50,000 files, at 2 a.m., right? So that's an antivirus won't pick that up, but AI is going to see like, hey, this is probably not something that Rob's doing right now, right? So it's helping us on our side to fight those things, but even faster, it's helping the bad guys, right? Because the bad guys, it's an open road for them, right? So it's it's almost like an offense defense thing that we're continually playing with the attackers. They're continually finding new ways to breach systems. And with AI, they can leverage, what 100 people could do a few years ago, they can do it now with a few clicks, right? I mean, we can write, a 20-page paper on World War II in about 30 seconds now, or, we couldn't do that before. So it's helping fight. And so if you're not leveraging cybersecurity and AI, you're going to be in a bad spot here in the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, like, honestly, in the next 5 years, to be in business without cybersecurity and AI is going to be extremely risky. If you are even still in business at that time, because your competitors that are adopting it are just going to pass you up.
Crazy. And in terms of JayTec Solutions, maybe share a little bit about what your process is. Like if you start working with a company, what your workflow looks like, where you start, what kinds of companies you tend to work with, and just kind of give us a sense of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So so for us specifically, right, we just seem to have been working with people in the financial industry, or businesses in the financial industry, the legal industry. We have a bunch of labor unions as well, and primarily businesses that house data, it seems, right? Like they have a lot of client data. So those are the businesses that we pair really well with. There's other cybersecurity and IT firms that work with defense contractors and all kinds of other school districts, which, I mean, we would love to as well. We're not opposed to it. It just hasn't come across our plate yet. Typically, we'll engage a business first by doing a cybersecurity risk assessment. So that's going to tell us what we're even dealing with, right? Is there an active breach going on right now? Which has happened, right? So we did a cybersecurity risk assessment for a client, and we found out their previous owner, not the previous owner, the retired owner, had an active breach on his computer, on his laptop. Had no idea, right? Received a phone call from our security operations center. They said we need to isolate this device. And so we mitigated it and we fixed the issue. First is the cybersecurity risk assessment. And from there, we're going to build a plan tailored towards your business, right? So people ask me, Jayson, what does this cost, right? 5-minute phone call. Okay, yeah, Jayson wants cybersecurity. Haven't done cybersecurity risk assessment. How much does it cost? I'm like, I have no idea. I had a great meeting with a company out in Ontario or somewhere out there last year, and it was going so well. It was the longest meeting they said they had. They're super happy. And they're like, great, how much does it cost? I'm like, I don't know. They had 5 offices in Southern California. They had a bunch of users. And I'm like, okay, well, I can give you a range potentially, but we could be way above that range or way below that range. And I'm like, if any other providers coming in here and they're giving you a dollar amount, how are they doing that? Right? I mean, like, if you give me the number of users, but you have 5 networks, right? What firewalls are you using? Do you have servers? Do you have cloud servers? What software are you guys using? What vulnerabilities do you have right now? Are you breached right? There's all these questions. So the first thing we do is a cybersecurity risk assessment just to see what we have, right? And if you don't decide to go with us, fantastic. At least you know, right? As the business owner, that's the important part. And then really, I feel like I'm an advocate in the cybersecurity space to just let business owners know, because I feel like there's a lot of ignorance out there, and more ignorance than anything. But if you are heading down the freeway at 100 miles an hour and you're like, hey, I don't see any speed limit signs, you're still gonna get pulled over. You're still gonna potentially go to jail because you're driving 100 miles an hour. So this exact same thing applies, but it's not necessarily jail time if you're caught for neglect, right? Not doing what you're supposed to do to protect client data. That's huge nowadays. And regulators, plaintiff law firms, they're going to make an example of you and make you look really bad for mismanaging client data. That's huge. Back to that story I was telling, that the client that got hit with ransomware, they had reported to the Attorney General's office. And guess what? You're on a list now, right? It's a public list. And who has access to the public list? other attorneys that just file lawsuits against these things. So they were hit with a class action lawsuit.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I figured I'm like, okay, well they're gonna fire me, right? That client at that time, and we're going through the steps, and I was coaching him through the steps, and he's telling me, no, we're not doing that. I'm like, we need to bring day one, we need to bring in an incident response company. No, we're not doing that, Jayson. This wipe everything, get us up back and running, as fast as possible. I was like, okay, we're not supposed to do that. We have to bring in an incident response. We have to find the attack vector. I can restore data. If I restore data, the ransomware could still be there, So, but they're adamant. I said, okay. 3-4 days later, the business owner comes to me and is like, hey, so the attorney says we need to bring in an incident response company. I'm like, yeah, I told you that. And so he's like, well, he's really on me. We need to do it. I'm like, we can. Everything's wiped. Firewall's wiped. Computers are wiped. Servers wiped. Like, we don't have any data. Like, they're going to come in and say, you wiped all the evidence. Like we tampered with stuff. Yeah. So fast forward 6 months, and we're talking about cybersecurity with that same client. And he's looking at me going, you know what, Jayson, you have to admit you were responsible for some of this hack we had, right? I was like,
What?
I would 100% agree with you if we did not have this conversation 6 months prior, and I told you about the risk. I told you that you were vulnerable, and you said it's too expensive. Now, whatever fees you were going to pay to me, you're paying in class action lawsuits, legal fees, your attorney, and your reputation now, right? So like that's huge. That's people don't realize, they come in, their files are locked in their screen. Oh, we got Jayson, he'll fix it for us. Yeah, I can fix it for you. I'm the easy part to deal with. This
Gosh.
is like and like when I go in when I went with that client, we're out and he's on the floor and there's employees there. I'm like, can I talk to your office? And he looked at me like, who do you think you are, Jayson? You want to talk to me in my office? I was like, we probably should. And he was like, his head was spinning like I was talking to him, because I laid out the framework like, hey, this is a serious incident. I try to convey that to him. So it's hard for businesses to recover after. There's a statistic out there that 60% of businesses go out of business 6 months after an attack.
Wow.
So I couldn't validate that anywhere, but if I Google and I try to find a source for it, but it said like this is the general consensus around the industry. So yeah, our first step, all of that to say, our first step is cybersecurity risk assessment, and then from there we're going to build a custom plan for you.
Gosh, yeah, it's so serious, and I think people think of it as kind of like a nice to have or something that maybe doesn't apply to them. That's something for other businesses, but we're fine or whatever. Yeah. So, I mean, what is your favorite part of your job? I mean, what really, because you've been doing this for a long time, and like, what gets you out of bed in the morning? Like, what do you love about this the most?
It's so funny you say that, right? Like my whole life, this is the one thing for whatever reason I've been really good at, just troubleshooting in general. So I'm in a position where I'm like kind of transitioning into like a business owner. I have 14 people on my team now. Now I'm doing more outreach, doing more business networking. And I mean, it's a stretch for me. I like it. Because I feel like I'm the advocate now. Like I'm telling people the urgency, because I really believe in this stuff. This isn't something where I'm like, hey, I'm selling snake oil, because I've seen it in real life. I run in cybersecurity circles with other MSPs, and I hear about these things all the time. They're posting about things, posting about, hey, need help. This is what's going on. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I would feel bad if I owned a business and I didn't know about this, and I get hit with ransomware. Say I owned, some little law firm startup, and we're 5 employees or CPA, and they get hit with this ransomware. And it's such a bad road for them. And so what gets me up is just out of bed each day is the technical aspect of it, running a team. That's fun. And nowadays it's just being an advocate for cybersecurity.
Well, this has been really helpful. And I really hope there's people listening right now that have realized they need to take cybersecurity seriously. It could be not just a headache, not just a nightmare, but a business ending event for people. This can be
Totally.
a huge deal if you are receiving sensitive data, sensitive or private data, as well as medical data, anything like that. Even if you don't want to be receiving that stuff, if that's something that your business just happens to receive,
Oh yeah.
you have responsibilities. And I think that people may not always be super aware or conscious of that. They're just kind of going about their day. And so if people want to reach out to you, if they want JayTec to do, that
Oh, the risk
assessment,
assessment.
how
Yeah.
can they get in touch with you?
So yeah, you can simply reach out to me directly at my email address, or probably better just to go to our website, jaytecsolutions.com, JAYTEC solutions.com, no H in tech. And yeah, we have a contact form there. You can reach out to us there.
Awesome. Dude, Jayson, thank you so much. And I appreciate you taking the time and kind of helping us understand your world a little bit more and sharing a lot of really valuable information with us, and wishing you lots of luck in 2026.
Thanks. Take care, Rob. I appreciate the time.
Hey, thanks. You too.